pizza to go. There's no ingredient too outrageous. Our chefs will custom build a pizza just for you, no matter how revolting.
Welcome back to the channel. This is Thomas, and you might have discovered me from watching my Channel 6 news building diorama, but since then I've been eagerly waiting this new Party Wagon by NECA, and I was really excited to see the box art because I saw that I had the Channel 6 news building diorama already built, and it looks very much like the one on the design of the package. But then I see something in the background that I haven't built yet. And when I made this Channel 6 news building diorama, I specifically left space on the ground level so that I can have a place for my Party Wagon. And there's also some space in the background where I think this next project is going to go. So this weird pizza will be made to fit this space. It's not a lot of space, so it's not going to be full interior, just the facade, but it'll have a nice place to go when I get my Party Wagon. So just cutting the foam for this space, and then we can get started on this project. Now for this one, I want to start with what I thought would be the most difficult part first, which was the pizza. So right now I'm just cutting out all of the pizza toppings for the sign, and then I'm tracing those paper stencils that I made onto silly winks, and then those will be my toppings for the pizza. Once all of those pizza toppings have been cut, I'm going to use a bowl from my pantry just to put down as a stencil for a circle, and then use a bigger bowl to get the outer rim. Now I'm going to cut 2 layers of foam in this circular form, and I'm going to use my Proxxon hot wire table to cut those shapes out. Then we'll sand the edges and then carve it down so that it is looking really like a pizza crust. I'm going to apply the crust of the pizza with some PVA glue, just smooth it out with a card, and then I'll take some hot glue so that this dries faster to the base piece of the pizza pie. And once these pieces are glued, I'm going to continue sanding and use some wall spackle to hide the seams. And after we've rolled this dough, it's starting to look like that pizza that Mikey made in ancient Japan. Now I've cut all of my base pieces out of 1-inch foam for the building, and now we're going to start magnetizing. So if you are not sure how to do this, I'll show you how in this video, but it's fairly simple. I just use my Dremel, some hot glue, and these extra strong magnets that I have from Hobby Lobby. Now, this won't truly be a facade. I am putting a base piece on the back for the rooftop. This way figures can stand on top. Even made sure it was level, so that'll just be a nice platform for figures. So now I'm cutting out some thin slices of foam. These will act as my door frame, and the windows. So when you cut the foam this thin, it makes it super easy to cut, and these have some weird shapes and angles, so cutting it down that thin is easy for me. But you can also go to the Dollar Tree and buy some project or foam board. I also cut out a thin piece that will act as my sidewalk. It's about 15 inches long, so I'm just making the sidewalk pieces 3 inches in length so that there's an even 5 squares on the sidewalk. And then we'll just texture this with a ball of aluminum foil. Now I'm cutting out my window pieces, and this was my first go at it where I made them a little too tall and narrow. So I made an extra pair that was a little wider that I think will look better, but I'm going to save those window frames for a future project. Then I'm going to cut the hole out of the door, and then from this point I can take my windows and my door, trace the holes onto the wall of the diorama, and then cut the holes out of the base piece. Now when cutting out this piece, I was going to throw it away, but I think there's something else on this project I can use it for, so we'll come back to that in a little bit. So I noticed on the only photo online of Weird Pizza and from the show, you blink and you miss it, there is an AC unit on the side of the building. So this spare piece of foam is perfect for it, easy to make, and I just want to get it done before we start priming. The last thing I have to do is just make those lines for the pizza, and then we'll file down the curves on the crust just to give it a little bit of roundness. And we're going to prime with Mod Podge and black acrylic paint. Recently, I've been using 3/4 black paint, 1/4 Mod Podge. This way the base doesn't get sticky if you have figures standing on it. And while that prime is drying, I'm going to follow the same technique I did with the pizza toppings. I'm cutting out all of the paper stencils of the weird pizza sign, and I'm going to transfer that over to the material Silly Winks. Once we're done with this, then we can start painting on some of the details. And I was getting tired of painting things that were tiny and getting paint all over my fingers, so I don't know why I didn't think of this sooner, but I just laid a few pieces of tape down, and I'm putting all of the pieces of the weird pizza sign and the pizza toppings onto this tape so it'll be easier for me to paint. Now these colors are a lot brighter than what you would see on the cartoon, so you might be wondering why I'm doing that, and there's a reason. So we're just going to base coat everything with these brighter colors, and then we're going to do something later where this will all make sense. So all of the major painting is complete. I did the walls of the building off camera, just mixing some light grays and some browns. And if you wanted to call this project complete right now, you pretty much could, but we're gonna add a little extra to it to make it unique for my display. In my toy room, I have lots of LEDs or color changing bulbs. I just like how it sets the mood. So I really wanted a project that would kind of accentuate all of the black light that I have inside the room. So I'm using all of these fluorescent paint colors. They're UV activated, so these are really fun to work with. And we'll give everything a base coat of this UV protection. This is not the best paint to work with. I always feel like you have to give multiple coats, but that's okay if we want to get the look that we're trying to achieve. And compliments again to my friend Armando. He gave me some tips and pointers of how I should paint the outside of the building. I could have left it gray and made it a little more cartoon accurate, but he said that he colored his based on the lighting that was hitting the building, which works perfectly for my project since I want to add this color so that the whole building pops in the UV light, and adding these three different colors will really help that. So I'm using a mix of green on the side, yellow on the left, and blue on the right. And when we get this thing under the light, I'm really hoping that it pops and shines. Can't forget to paint my AC unit, so I'm just mixing some blacks and some whites and grays just to give it that kind of cartoon, heavy brushstroke looking feel like on the animated show. And Amazon had some great Black Friday deals on diorama windows. You just have to empty the contents of the package, and there you have it. You have automatic diorama windows. Folks, don't go out and buy diorama windows. You can make your own with cheap materials. I always use the plastic packaging from action figure boxes. They work great. Going back to our Mod Podge, I'm going to put a layer of Mod Podge on all of the pieces that I cut for the windows and for the door. This will make it easier to paint after the fact. In the meantime, I'll hot glue this sidewalk down because that's going to help me start placing my window and door frames. And at this point, all of my pizza toppings are dry, so I can go ahead and start hot gluing those on for that portion of the diorama to be complete. Next, I'm using an orange marker just to give some variation to the red of the pizza. So I'm just drawing some random circles and shapes. This will give a nice contrasting red to the fluorescent red that we painted. And the Mod Podge has dried on those plastic pieces. And what's great about this is paint really sticks to it. And it's also going to be a little translucent too. So light will shine through from the back. So I'm just mixing some fluorescent orange and fluorescent yellow, and then I'm going to start gluing these onto the back of the door pieces and to the window pieces. Another detail that I almost forgot is I'm painting some curtains onto the windows. I had some cloth I was going to use, but it didn't match the fluorescent coloring, so I decided to paint these on with some thick marker lines to give it that animated look. And after these windows are glued, the final detail I have to apply are all of the weird pizza letters. So I'll go ahead and get that done, and let's check out this project. And folks, that does it for this weird pizza diorama. This one was a blast because I'm normally painting lots of neutral colors, kind of boring, but it was really exciting to paint with some bright colors, not just for some accents, but for almost the entire build. So I don't know, there's just something about painting with all these different colors that is a lot more fun. But had a great time as always, and this will be a great addition to my display. And I am still eagerly awaiting my Party Wagon. So question for the audience, hopefully you stuck around to the end. Do you have your Party Wagon? If so, hope you like it. Let me know if you do. I'm still waiting for mine. So until then, I finally got a project done before the actual figures or display piece comes in. So that's an accomplishment on its own. So as always, folks, hopefully you like this content. If you did, hit like, hit subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.